This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Child malnutrition comes under the spotlight in a recent report. Antibiotics cannot protect you from paratyphoid. And a man called God can cure cancer. Well, so he says. But first, to our headline story. There is real concerns over child malnutrition, as highlighted by World Vision International and Plan International Cambodia, with groups having voiced very serious concerns about the lack of nutrition for some children in certain provinces who are not only underweight, but also stunted and emaciated. 1 million children are considered to be vulnerable, and the situation for some is grave indeed. The most worrying issue raised by the reports is there has been no reduction in the number of children who are so hungry they are now classified as emaciated.
In a report this week, World Vision highlighted the plight of children who are suffering from malnutrition due to many communities still recovering from the COVID-19 crisis and its financial ramifications. At current, there are more than 4.5 million people in various provinces, as well as Phnom Penh itself, who are receiving aid. Now, of those, 900,000 are children, and they are considered to be very vulnerable indeed. And this data is amplified when one learns that 10,000 kids at current are being treated for malnutrition. A spokesman for World Vision has said, "We have treated over 10,000 children under the age of 5 with problems ranging from moderate to severe malnutrition, spending over $9 million on providing support and nutrition to help those in severe need." The nutrition program of the WVI has been implemented in 20 districts and 8 provinces. And it's not just those far-flung provinces. It also includes Battambang and Siem Reap provinces. According to Cambodian Health Survey from 2014 to 2022, the number of stunted children who lack nutrition has in fact decreased. It's gone down from 32% to 22%. But rather worryingly, the number of children who are emaciated has remained unchanged. And this is where the work needs to be focused. For if you live in a city and you see a life of plenty, then you should be exceedingly grateful. And you should never forget, out there in the countryside, there is a legion of children who this very night will go to bed very hungry indeed.
On this week's crime desk, a man dies from fugu poisoning, a body is found dismembered in a trunk, and I read, the most horrible story I have ever read. Do you remember that episode in The Simpsons when Homer goes into an Asian restaurant and orders fugu, that fish that if not prepared correctly will quite simply kill you? You see, fugu has a poisonous sac that if penetrated during preparation, it will release deadly toxin into the fish itself, making it quite simply lethal. Well, a Bante Minche man ignored the warnings and has died after eating fugu. According to the police, the dead man was a 57-year-old who got the fish from Kampot, but instead of seeking out the skills of a highly trained chef to prepare this lethal fish, he took it home and just grilled it. Unsurprisingly, this simplistic approach to dealing with this killer left him on the floor of his living room dead. And yet another cautionary tale. Don't ever mess with the mighty fugu. Its first two letters stand as a stark warning to all.
Hey, what's this? Fugu!
It is blowfish, sir. But I should warn you that one...
Come on, pal, fugu me!
Now to something that is so very Victorian indeed, and that is a body stuffed in a suitcase and then abandoned. Villagers this week came across two suitcases, and inside they found the remains of a man who had been dissected, then stuffed into the cases. The first case was originally seen on June the 2nd on a river bank in Kandal province. But when discovered, the husband and wife assumed that it contained discarded chicken intestines. So they abandoned it. But then a rather smart 13-year-old re-examined the suitcase, and she had other thoughts. Upon examination, she realized that it was in fact a man's body. And further investigation uncovered another smaller suitcase, which also contained yet more body parts. The police were informed, and it was revealed that the body was that of an unidentified Chinese man. And currently, the provincial specialised forces are conducting an autopsy on the body itself. And just like a Victorian drama, his identity remains unidentified. A mother has been arrested after strangling her baby. She then placed its corpse into a plastic bag and threw the dead child into a local canal. But it is her confession that makes this story so exceedingly chilling. For according to that confession, at 4 o'clock in the morning she had a stomachache. She went to the bathroom in her house and she gave birth to the child. The newborn baby was born into the toilet bowl, and then the mother calmly retrieved that child from the bowl of the toilet and she strangled it. She said that she had placed the baby's corpse into a black garbage bag and then threw the baby into the canal. The woman then calmly took a shower and went to work in a factory in Siem Reap, as is her usual practice. At current, she is under arrest, awaiting trial. I missed out something in that last story, didn't I? You want to know as to why she did it, don't you? How could a horror such as this ever be justified? Well, in her confession, the suspect said that she decided to kill the baby because she was angry with her husband for denying that he was the father. So she placed her hands around its tiny neck and throttled the child to death. And then she discarded the baby like it was trash. I don't think I will ever be able to forget this story. It is the most horrifying that I have ever reported on. There has been a very alarming rise in paratyphoid fever cases within Cambodia, and with over 5 million cases per year on average globally, this situation is extremely concerning. But it's only going to get worse, as scientists in Cambodia have discovered a type of bacteria that causes paratyphoid fever has now become resistant to antibiotics. And that means one of their major lines of defense against this killer is all but gone, and potentially could lead to a surge in the death rate of this very deadly disease.
In a study published in Microbial Genomics, scientists from the Pasteur Institute of Cambodia found the bacterium responsible for causing life-threatening paratyphoid fever is becoming resistant to the antibiotics most commonly used to treat it, and that is exceedingly worrying. Studying bacterial samples collected in Phnom Penh, the scientists looked at the genetic makeup of the bacteria and found something that surprised and frightened them in equal measures. And that was, the bacteria had mutated to survive, even when the antibiotics were used to fight it. So, what was the most powerful weapon they had in their arsenal to fight this deadly disease now seems to be utterly useless. The lead author of the study has said, antibiotic resistance is a huge problem because it limits the treatment options for people who get sick with paratyphoid fever. Antibiotics are powerful medicines that can kill bacteria, but when they are overused or used inappropriately, bacteria can develop resistance and become stronger. And it is here the problem lays, for there is little control on pharmacies and almost no understanding by patients as to how antibiotics are to be used. Many medicines are dished out with such a lax and casual attitude, it is on occasions quite frightening. And this immunity to antibiotics is the tip of the iceberg, as the new superbugs loom on the horizon, and the devastation that they could bring sends a chill down many a doctor's spine.
Now then, would you be so kind, dear viewer, as to send me all the money from your bank account, and I, in return, will send you by return post some magic beans, ones that will tower into the sky, and you will be able to climb the beanstalk to discover a chicken that lays golden eggs. Sounds a little far-fetched, you think? Well, how about this one? If a man who calls himself God mixed a load of crap in a bucket, called it the king of medicines, and he assured you categorically that it would cure cancer, would you believe that one? Well, unbelievably, some have, for there is a man in Phnom Penh who has been issuing these ludicrous medical claims for many long years, and Lord knows how much damage he has done with his insane concoction. But now, thank goodness, he has been shut down for good.
Police have shut down a well-known traditional healer's business as he is accused of operating an illegal medicine factory and advertising false information about his treatments. The accused is a Mr. Sao Seng Hao, the owner of Seng Hao Traditional Medicine Company. Now, Seng Hao is not one for understatements, as his absurd cure for cancer testifies, and he even likes to be known as Real God Seng Hao, curer of the people. Okay. He advertises on social media widely, boasting of his success in treating many chronic illnesses such as strokes, diabetes, heart attacks, high blood pressure, and, of course, cancer, using only his traditional medicine. His medicine also has an incredibly bold name, for it is called the King of 3,256 Ingredients. Wow, it must be good with over 3,000 ingredients. So Seng Hao, or should that be God Seng Hao, or in fact, bugger it, let's go the whole way here and just call him God. He had advertised that he could cure people with diseases that would otherwise kill them. However, and here comes the bit that's not so godly, patients who bought the traditional medicine found out that it did not work, which is odd, as God claimed that his treatment is 100% effective. And that is rather a high success rate for a load of herbs and twigs mixed in a bucket. Now here comes the early part of this story that is not surprising. The Ministry of Health has stepped in and they have shut God down. And good for them. But God himself has expressed extreme disappointment, and he has asked the authorities to allow him to continue his work. And I'm sure the Ministry of Health, as soon as they have stopped laughing, may well consider his request, and then probably continue laughing.
It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week.
Okay, and here is your weather report, and basically it's time to state the bleeding obvious. There's rain, and it's just coming from every which angle. It's absolutely atrocious. I personally am not waking up till noon and then spending the evenings awake because I can't bear to be out in all that rain. It's just so glum, isn't it? What else can I tell you about it all? It is fundamentally, oh dear, the humidity's still high, isn't it? It's up in the 70s, and it's going to continue, except for we might have some lightning as well. Hurrah!
This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly roundup.